All right, hello once again. Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And I am now working on the EF database first with ASP.NET MVC. This is a 7-section series of articles, and this is part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Web Development AWD1111 or .NET Framework with Web Databases course. So far I've done the first one, getting started with Entity Framework 6 database first using MVC. We also have done the second part, creating the web application and data models. We are now to part 3, generating views, where we are going to use ASP.NET scaffolding to generate the controllers and the views. All right, so as mentioned right there, you are ready to generate the code that will provide the standard data operations for the model classes. You add the code by adding a scaffold item. There are many options for the type of scaffolding you may add. In this tutorial, the scaffold will include a controller and views that correspond to the student and the enrollment models that we created in the previous section. To maintain consistency, we will add the new controller to the existing controllers folder. So we're going to come back to our project. We are going to close our models folder right now. Notice that controllers has just the built-in stuff that we got when we started the project. So we are going to right-click on the controllers folder and choose Add. And then we're going to choose here New Scaffold Item. All right. And once we do that, it comes up with a series of possibles. Now, when we did this in the past, we did the empty one. And we looked at some of the other stuff that's here. What we want is an MVC5 controller with views using the entity framework. This will generate the controller and the views for allowing us to do CRUD, create, read or display, update, and delete. All right, so we're going to click Add. And it comes back, and for the model class in here, we want to choose Student. All right. And we want Contoso University entities for the data context class. Now, since we chose Student, we called it Student Controller. We want to keep the generate views, the reference script libraries, and the use a layout page. And we want to keep this name here of Students Controller. And we click Add. Now, the author says here it's not impossible that you could receive an error message. If you do, it's probably because you didn't do a build like we did when we finished up the last part of this project. All right. So we should see when we get done in here a new controller, and there it is. And if we go down to views, we now have students where we've got these views as well. All right. In the past, we have created them. Now we went in and we let the system create them for us. Now we want to basically mimic what we just did. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this, and right mouse click again on here, choose Add, choose New Scaffolded Item, and this time we want to again choose with Entity Framework, Add, but what changes with this one, I hope I click the Add button or not here, all right. With this one, what we want, when it comes up, is we want the model class here to be the enrollment class right there, and the data context class should be the same. This is enrollments, which is fine, and we want to click add. We should now have yet another controller under here called enrollments and another folder under our views called enrollments. And there's our enrollments controller, and there's our enrollments views. All right. So, jumping back and forth as I oftentimes do, we did this, we created this, and that gave us the students controller. All right. We did not get an error. We went back and we noticed that we had the new students controller under our controllers folder. The create.cshtml, the delete.cshtml, the details.cshtml, the edit.cshtml, and the index.cshtml under our new students folder under views. Then we replicated the same thing, but what we changed this time was instead of doing this through the instead of doing this as we did earlier through the courses, we're doing it now through the enrollment. All right? And we're making some headway here. All right. So that brings us down, and we looked at these to make sure we had a new, under our controllers, we had a new enrollments controller, and under our views, we had the create, delete, details, edit, and index.cshtml files in the new enrollments folder. We had all that. All right? So let's keep laboring on here. To make it easier for you to navigate to your new views, we're going to add a couple of hyperlinks. So open our file under views home index CHTML, and just before the Jumbotron, we want to add this. All right? So let's go back to our views home and our index.cshtml. I believe, although I could be mistaken, if we do a save all on this, that we can run the program now. I don't think we'll get an error. But I just want to show you how this is going to look a little bit different in just a moment. Right now, when we run this, hopefully it's going to open up. That can close because that project is done. We did not start running it. Okay, run. I don't know why it didn't run before. It should have. Thought I clicked that. That should be opening up our new window in here. And all I want to show you is we're about to add 2 hyperlinks. All right, we are about to add 2 hyperlinks, those right here, that will appear in here. And one will say, just says, well, I guess what we'll have to do then is we'll have to come under home. I would have thought that would have run, but it didn't. So let's try a view in browser, see if that works. Does not look as though it is going to work, so I will just put it in. Oh, there it is. So this is our project as it currently stands. Still loading. Will mention very quickly to you, we're going to have right here, right down here, we're going to have 2 hyperlinks, okay? And that's all I wanted to show you. Maybe that was a waste of your time to see that, but I wanted to show them to you anyway. So right before the Jumbotron, they tell us to put in those. All right, I'm going to save, and I'm again going to right mouse click on here and choose a view in browser. And we want to see if we have our 2 links. I want to mention while this is loading up very quickly, okay, there it is, and there's our links. But before I click on either one of these, in just a moment, I'm going to be finished with this. When I start on part 4, I've got some printing I have to do. So if you hear noise in the background, I apologize ahead of time. So, list of students. Hopefully this is going to show us our list of 3 students, Donnie Tebbets, Liza Guzman, and Phil, what is that, Cadet or Caplet, I think it is. All right, then we'll go to do the same thing with the enrollments. All right, so there they are. They want us to click the Create New and try to add a new student just to show we can. So person, I'm using their names, test, and the enrollment date 09-01-2013. We haven't done anything here to add any annotations or anything yet, but did it add our new person? Once we click the button, there's our new person at the bottom. All right, they want us to then click the edit to make sure the edit works. So they want to change this to person edited. All right, and click save, and you see it's person edited. And then they want us to delete that person. We can do the details too. There's the information. All right, and then we can go back to delete, and we want to delete person edited. Yes. Close, that's from the other one, and they're gone. All right, so let me quickly close this and delete these. All right, so as the author of this particular thing says, we just did that. We displayed the student information. You saw that we could create new, and we created the new student, and they were put into the database. You saw that. We edited the student, changed their last name, and saw that that worked. We deleted the student. You saw that, all right, etc. So, as the author says right here, this is the key takeaway, and that is, without adding any code, we have added views that perform these common operations on the data in the student table. So think about this. The advantage of doing database first like we did is we can use scaffolding to basically build our controller for us, or our controllers, and to build our controller and to build our views. The advantage of using code first is if you don't know a lick about databases, you can create your model classes and have them create the database and the tables for you. All right. It says you may have noticed the text label for a field is based on the database property. All right, like last name, where we'd probably rather have it last name. It says you will fix this later. So in other words, don't worry about it. All right. The database includes a one-to-many relationship between the student and enrollment tables and a one-to-many relationship between the course and enrollment tables. So the enrollment table is kind of a join table that allows us to do things between students and courses. All right. So What we want to show you here is if we go back again, do we still have this open? No, we do not. Or maybe we do. So if we go back here to home, and I'm sorry, and we want to, there, and we click on enrollments, what you'll notice from looking on here is that, notice our enrollments table, all right, is if we go in and click create new, notice our course ID is set for us in a drop-down list, and so is our student ID. Now our student ID right now is based off of the last names. That's not good. We'll fix that, but we'll fix that later on. All right? So we could come through here, and there's even a little bit, I believe, I could be wrong here, but let's come in here, ABC. Notice that's got to be a numeric field. So there is a little bit of validation that's in there right now. So what we have done in here is we have verified that the automatically generated views allows the user to work with data in the database. In the next tutorial, we're going to update the database and make the corresponding changes in the web application. And I believe the change that we're going to make is we're going to add, so if we come back to home here and we look at our students, we're going to add a middle name field. Okay? All right, so I'll be back to do that in just a couple minutes. First, as always, let's save all. Second, let's close this. All right? And again, we have now finished going through this third lesson, I'm sorry, and we're going to go down to the fourth one, which is changing the database. All right, it's fairly short, but again, I want to mention one last time, you're going to probably hear some background noise because I've got some printing to do. Sorry about that. I'll be back to go through this next lesson in just a couple minutes.